My name is Sulav and I help online fitness coaches scale to 10K a month with a micro niche personal brand strategy. And by the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to get started with your online coaching. Now, I've done online coaching for over 2 years and I've scaled multiple businesses past 10K a month without a team or ads. And this video is perfect for you if you're somebody like Caleb, who's a personal trainer, you have a passion for fitness and you're in great shape and you want to make a full-time income with your online fitness coaching business. Here's Caleb. He got 6 clients in one single month and fully transitioned online. I've also helped tons of other people like Dario, who's done over 20 million through direct sales. I've helped 7-figure coaches, etc., etc. So yeah, I know a thing or two about doing this. And the thing is, you don't even need a certification or a massive audience or a team to do this because I've been able to do this without that, right? So it all started at the end of 2023. I was bouncing between a bunch of different jobs. So I was doing lifeguarding. I was a fragrance sales specialist. Literally, I was at the Barton Creek Mall here in Austin, literally just selling fragrances to people in person. And I was also doing personal training. So I was helping one of my friends with his personal training business. He had tons of clients. So I was pretty much driving over like 40 miles, 80 miles plus every single day, bouncing between these jobs and training clients, right? And here's the reality of it. I was trading all my time for money. I was just, as soon as I woke up, I would immediately, first thing I would do, depending on my work schedule, I would, go do lifeguarding, right? So swim, all that stuff, help save people's lives, jump in pools, all that stuff. And then I would drive to Barton Creek Mall, start selling fragrances. Sometimes I wouldn't even have time to eat. And then depending on where the clients were, I would drive to different places and train clients in gyms as a personal trainer. So I had like no freedom of where I could be, right? I was just being controlled of my time. Although like I really did enjoy personal training because I just loved fitness and I was in great shape. I just had no control of location freedom, right? Where, like if I wanted to move to Miami, I couldn't move there. If I wanted to go to Japan, I can't go there. You know what I mean? And, I just felt completely burnt out because at that time I was waking up at like 4:30 a.m. in the morning. As soon as I'd wake up, I would do 50 push-ups, drink 24 ounces of water, take a cold shower, do all that stuff, right? And then just constantly be in this cycle of working. So I just feel extremely burnt out. It felt like I had no free time left. And it just felt like, at the end of the day, before I go to sleep, I'd be like, oh, I have to do this again. You know what I mean? Just that feeling of like, it's a cycle that repeats on forever. So I was like, man, like I just felt extremely tired. And then around 2024, that's when I started posting online and I started getting views, right? My bad. In 2024 is not when I started posting online, but it's when I started posting like fitness content online, right? And with that, like I started getting views. I started having fitness videos and like short form content that generated me like, hundreds and thousands of views. I was posting shorts that got like 80K plus views. I was getting a lot of traction and like people in the comment section started to ask me for help, all that stuff, right? But here's the reality of it. All these people were asking me for stuff, but I didn't have anything to offer them because I've never like sold anything online. So I actually had no clue on what to actually sell online. So I was just a bit confused, but I knew there was this potential inside of me that I could really make this happen because, it did seem to me like, even people in person, in real life, online, they were always asking me for advice about fitness, right? Because I was in really good shape. So then around June 2024, June 2024, I signed my first online fitness coaching client, right? I still remember that day. I was actually, it was my first client here. It was Nathan, him, right here. I helped him out a lot too, so I'm really glad I got that client. And, a switch flipped inside of me because like I just made the amount of money that I would make from working like, let's say like 2 weeks in a job, literally through a DM. You know what I'm saying? So it flipped a switch inside of me and I'm glad this happened. It happened during summertime. So I dropped out of college and I went all in. I was like, wow, it really is this opportunity and it's real. You know what I mean? Before I didn't have the belief, so I didn't drop out of college, but I still like knew I can make it happen. But when it really did happen to me, that I made money online and I got my first like online fitness coaching client, like I remember I was sitting here in my office and I was like, wow, this is actually real. You know what I mean? It sparked something inside of me where I just dropped out of college. I remember I met one of my friends in Summer Moon Coffee Shop, the one that I was helping with his personal training business. And like I just told him, I was like, dude, I'm about to drop out of college. Like I'm going all in on this. This is real. You know what I mean? And it was one of those like it was one of the best feelings ever that I felt because I knew there was a whole other side to the world that I had yet to experience. You know what I mean? I knew this was the start of something great. And then in mid 2025, as time went by, I built another online coaching business. In this online coaching business, I helped 7-figure coaches and even people who've done over 20 million through direct sales, and I helped them out with their content. And this is actually when I hit my first 10K a month. But the thing was, then I crashed back to $0 because of the fact that I had no systems. So yes, even though I did hit 10K a month, it went back to zero because I didn't know what I was doing in terms of like I didn't have a repeatable system that I could do over and over again, right? So there's a lot of people online, they might say, oh, I've hit 10K a month, but they might have actually gotten lucky because unless they've hit it consecutively in a bunch of different businesses, then there's potential that they could have gotten lucky. So I went back to zero. And then in May 2025 is when I quit my job and I flew to Miami with 5K in the bank. You guys, if you guys click on some of my older videos, even from 4 months ago, you could probably see that like I talk about how I went all in on my business and I moved to Miami, et cetera, right? And the thing was, I nearly went homeless, right? Doing this because when I moved to Miami, I had no plan B. I started a brand new business that was making, like I wasn't making any money off of it in this brand new business. Even the first 3 days, I stayed in one of my clients' place because I didn't have a place to stay. So I was sleeping on the couch, but I just had this belief and this certainty that I can make it happen. So I went all in on my brand new business, online coaching business, right? And then I hit 10K a month from scratch, and I also helped others do the same. So it was like a repeatable system where I even helped, like for example, Aryan. Now he's been able to hit over 15K within a single month, right? From scratch, literally all within a few short months, like 2 to 3 months, right? So in this video, I'm going to show you how to go from, a personal trainer or someone who's just working a job to starting an online, coaching business that allows you to make over 10K a month. So you have time freedom, location freedom, and you can make money from doing what you love. Even if you don't have a team, even if you don't want to run ads and stuff like that, right? So here's the first phase. The first phase is really just who you help and what you sell, okay? So number one is a niche is knowing that you need a niche, which equals a filter for trust. So you want to speak to one specific person, which helps out a lot because, I had this client in the beginning. He's helped so much people, right? Like he was a personal trainer in person. He's helped women, he's helped men, he's helped men over 30, all that stuff. So he had an experience of helping all these different people. But the only thing is, the online space is so big. There's literally millions of people coming into this space every single day, and especially the online fitness coaching space is so big. So if you don't niche down, then you're never going to be able to truly resonate with people, especially because it's like, okay, if you're first starting off and let's just say you help men, I'm just giving you an example. Let's say you help men get in shape, right? That's so broad that like if I was a man and I wanted to get in shape, but I see you and then I see this other person who has over thousands of different testimonials and he's already built an audience and he already has all this stuff, who am I going to click more? I'm always going to go towards the better person. That's just human nature, right? So if you create a niche, like I help busy dads over 35, now I'm like, wow. Hold on, I had a client that just messaged me at the stage of where. Okay. Anyways, what's it called? Now, if you're super niche, like, oh, I'm a busy dad over 35 and I want to lose weight, I want to lose fat. Now you're speaking directly to me, which allows you to increase trust because you're just resonating with that specific person so much more. So this perfectly leads me into the second thing, which is focus on one transformation. So when I first started, I wanted to help people with everything. I wanted to help people with their mindset. I wanted to help people with, lose weight, get in shape, do this, do that. Because I had the skill of helping people with multiple different things, right? But the thing is, that is exactly why I couldn't get any clients, and that is exactly why I couldn't charge higher prices. Because the thing is, if you try to help everybody, you end up helping nobody, right? There's this saying where it's like, simple scales, fancy fails, and it's the honest truth. So when you focus on one transformation, you have one niche, and you have one single offer, that is the path to making 10K a month, because it's just so much more clear, right? Like if I say, oh, I help you get shredded, I help busy dads over 35 get shredded, then I'm like, oh, I know exactly who you're targeting. I know exactly what you offer. I know the exact transformation I get. So there's just a lot of clarity, and people buy clarity, right? So having one niche, one offer is going to allow you to get to 10K a month. Now, the third thing that I want to talk about is increasing the value of your advice, because the truth is, in the online space, there is infinite amounts of information, right? There's people posting videos every single day, people just giving advice. People can go to ChatGPT and get advice. You know what I mean? So what's really going to help you separate yourself? It's simply by increasing the value that you get. Now, how do you increase the value that you get? It's by selling the identity shift, not the workout itself, right? A lot of people, they create content where you're telling people the reps that they should do. You're telling people you should do this, you should do that. But it's like, ChatGPT could give that. ChatGPT could give macro advices. ChatGPT could give, a workout routine, right? You could literally prompt ChatGPT and be like, hey, give me a workout that I should do to help me lose weight, all that stuff, right? So what people actually need is the identity shift, because ChatGPT hasn't lost weight, right? So when you sell the identity, that is when people buy you. People buy the identity because you are a living embodiment of what they want to achieve. So that is actually how you increase value. When you focus on identity shift, not like the micro details of like the workouts or the tracking the macros or XYZ. People don't care about that, right? If I was somebody who was fat and I wanted to get in shape, I don't care about macros. I care about getting shredded and, like being able to take off my shirt in the beach, all that stuff. So sell the identity. And how you create your content, when you create your content around the identity shift, it will bleed through, the value will bleed through the screen, right? Like let's say if you're a fitness coach and instead of telling people that they should, enter a caloric deficit, if you're somebody who has your shirt off and you're in the beach and you're speaking with confidence, you're speaking on stage with a bunch of people, right? So you have that confidence. Who do you think is who do you think people are gonna relate to more? The person who's just speaking about some reps, or the person who literally embodies the identity of what they want to achieve? You see what I'm saying? Now, this perfectly leads me into the fourth thing, which is charge enough to care. Because here's the thing, when I first started off, I was thinking about charging like $50 and just low ticket prices, which is pretty much anywhere like below 1K prices, right? But you want to put your money where your mouth is. So you want to charge like you care. When you charge high ticket prices above 1K prices, it creates commitment, which equals results, which equals referrals, which equals more clients, you making more money, and you just helping more people, transforming more people, helping them create the reality, right? Because I'm sure you've bought maybe like low ticket programs, or even if you haven't, whenever you buy something that's cheap, you don't value it as much. So I don't know about you, but whenever I buy something expensive, I actually take the advice. I do it more. I'm more committed to it. I have a more emotional attachment and a commitment to it. So when you charge like you care about it, you end up getting the results, right? And you end up getting better client results. You end up attracting better people, and all that stuff. So charge like you care. And the fifth thing is don't solve imaginary problems. I had guys come up to me and he's like, hey, like I want to start doing online fitness coaching, but like, I don't know what software to use, or I don't know, if I can even charge this high price, or like, like what if I have 20 clients? Like, how am I going to make this scalable, or all that stuff. But the thing is, you're living in a false world because you're trying to solve imaginary problems. You're trying to, have all these things that don't exist. Like, oh, what if I don't have my certification? Or like, what if I don't have all these fancy tools? This isn't scalable. But the thing is, you only want to solve the real pain that you have right now, which is getting your first client or starting, right? I remember when I started my online fitness coaching business, the only way I got my first client is by not thinking about the other stuff. Like, oh, how am I going to deliver to this person? How am I going to scale this to 50 plus clients? All that. So I didn't think about that. I just put one foot forward the other, right? Like, I remember when I moved to Miami and I started this brand new online coaching business, like I didn't even know where I was going to live. But guess what? I cut the plane ticket, and once I ended up there, I figured it out, right? I was like, I called one of my clients. I was like, hey, can I stay in your place? He's like, boom, yeah, you could stay for 3 days. Came there, stayed. And then from there, I got an Airbnb, signed up for an Airbnb for an entire month. And then I built this brand new business from scratch, right? So I literally achieved 10K a month by not focusing on imaginary problems, but literally putting one foot forward the other, right? Now, if I cut this plane ticket and I started thinking about these imaginary problems, like, oh, I could have millions of things that go wrong. Like, what if I go homeless? What if I, like I don't have a car? How am I going to walk to certain places? How am I going to get groceries? How am I going to do this? How am I going to do that? If I started thinking about that, then I would never be where I am today. So it's the same concept with your business. Just focus on the most important thing that's in front of you, right? Don't create imaginary problems. And that has allowed me to scale past 10K a month. Now, the sixth thing is authority over algorithm, right? So you don't need like viral videos. You just need like 100 of the right people to trust you, right? I mean, that's exactly how my client Aryan was able to add 30K cash collected with only 687 subscribers, right? Simply from the fact that like you could have a bunch of people that watch your videos, right? But what good does that do you if those people don't want to buy your thing, right? You could have a school of fishes. Like let's say you want golden fishes, right? And you cast a wide net. Now this net, imagine you attract all these random fishes, a blue color fish, you attract a red fish, all that stuff. But in reality, you want a golden fish. You want to taste a golden fish. You want to see what it's like. You want to experience the golden fish, right? What good does that do you if you cast this wide net and you attract all these other fishes that you don't necessarily want, right? Then it simply just doesn't matter. But let's say you cast a wide net where you catch a bunch of golden fishes, then what's going to happen, right? You're going to get more of what you want. You could cast a wide net and attract 2 golden fishes and hundreds of other random fishes, or you could cast the right type of net that attracts 100 golden fishes, right? 100 golden fishes is going to be better, right? And it's the same thing with you posting content. If you post a video, let's say, and you help busy moms lose weight, if you post a video that attracts 100 busy moms that lose weight, even though you don't get thousands of views compared to the person that gets millions of views but no busy moms who wants to lose weight, the person who attracts more of the right people is going to get more clients, help more people, help them create the reality and make more money, right? So the seventh thing is don't reinvent what already works. So follow a proven model, then innovate later, right? When humans created an airplane, the Wright brothers, they modeled it off of birds. So birds, they looked at birds because birds already knew how to fly, right? And it was designed, right? It's a proven thing that they could fly. When you look at birds, they fly. So even when creating an airplane, when they invented that idea they got from a bird. So they got the idea from something that already worked, right? Another example I could give you is Leonardo da Vinci during the Renaissance era. He created all these different paintings, but he was able to create such a good painting because he dissected, he literally he took this a step further. He literally so he loved drawing human bodies, the heart and all that stuff, right? So he literally looked at physical hearts and he really looked at it and he drew it as he looked at it, which is what allowed him to become so good at it because he followed what already worked. It's not just in business, but it's in everything in life. You do what works, you follow a proven model, and then you innovate later and you change things up. So now phase 2, which is how to actually get clients. So the first one, we covered who you help and what you sell. Now phase 2, how to get clients. So here's the big picture of this. Execution beats perfection, right? And the first thing is action over ideas, because you could have millions of ideas, but if you don't execute on it, then nothing's going to happen, right? The business is built through actually sending the DMs, the trial and error, creating content, not just living in your mind, in your head, in your notebook, or in Canva, right? Nothing ever is going to get done unless you actually take action. A quote that I love from Napoleon Bonaparte is, every thought is a step to action, right? So a lot of people live in their head, which allows them to waste time and never really get enough data and collect enough feedback to see what actually works. So when you take more action, you end up getting more skill and you end up getting more feedback from reality to actually help you scale your business and actually start your fitness coaching business and make more progress, right? You could have two guys, right? One guy could literally think about millions of ideas. He could write down in his journal hundreds of ideas on what he could do. He could brainstorm, versus the other guy, he finds one idea, right? And then he acts on it, and maybe that doesn't work. And then he finds another idea, he acts on it, and then he might get better over time, right? So when he's in his 10th idea, he's already had feedback of what might work, what's closer to working, versus let's say person A, who's still writing in his journal millions of ideas and still brainstorming. So you are going to actually build more skill by literally taking action and learning and getting feedback from reality, right? I remember I've been in so many programs where people, I've invested in tons of mentors myself, and I've seen this with so much people, and even the clients that I've trained over the past 2 years of doing online coaching. And the most successful clients literally take the most action, right? For example, one of my clients, Aryan, right? Every time I told him something, he would immediately implement it, right? Which allowed him to scale his online coaching business and scale his just business in general past 10K a month, literally within 2 months, all because he just executed. He didn't worry about these imaginary problems. He didn't have these millions of ideas, and he didn't overthink. He just simply took action, right? And number 2 is speed is your unfair advantage. And it's the simple truth. When you move fast, it's going to allow you to make more mistakes. And the more mistakes you make, the more ways that you find not what to do, right? Thomas Edison, when he created the light bulb, he failed 9,999 times. So he made 9,999 mistakes. So he found that much ways of what to avoid. So when he found more things of what to avoid, he could focus more on what can work. So he's getting closer to the water, right? He's getting closer to creating the light bulb, which allowed him to create the light bulb. So you could fix things along the way, but if you get in this loop of just being slow, then you're not going to get anything done. The more quicker you move, the more progress you'll make, which is why I've been able to make this in my like young 20s, right? A lot of people, they might have made 10K a month once they're, in their 30s or 20, like 29, 25, XYZ. But why have I been able to do this in my 20s? Young 20s, like when I'm 21 and 22. It's because I'm moving fast. I'm not stuck in this overthinking state. I'm just massively taking action, which is what's allowed me to even do over 18K in deals within a single month from scratch, right? So focus on sending those messages, because inputs is what drives outputs. So you want to track your inputs, not the outcome. Track how much messages you're sending, how much content you're posting, and how much calls that you are booking. Because once you focus on speed and you mix it with tracking your inputs and focusing on that, rather than this output of, I want to make 10K a month, right? You're not gonna make 10K a month if you just focus on, I want to make 10K a month. But instead, when you focus your goal on like, okay, how much messages do I need to send? How much pieces of content do I need to create? All that stuff. Then those are the things that's gonna allow you to get to 10K a month, right? Michael Jordan, like when he got really good at basketball, not because he focused on becoming the best player, he focused on, the amount of hours that he can put in, right? He put in more hours in shooting the basketball and actually practicing the art of basketball, rather than being like, I want to be the best player. So when he focused on doing the work, day by day, he actually became better, okay? So the next thing is inputs compound and outcomes is literally just going to be a byproduct that follows, right? Money follows certainty. So if you're not sold on your own offer, like if you cannot confidently sell something for 3K and help people lose weight for 3K, then the truth is no one else will be, right? You have to be confident in your own thing. I remember back in the day when I was trying to sell like 5K packages for XYZ, I wasn't even sold on that. I wasn't confident in that. And it's like when I get on calls with people and I try to sell people on that thing, it's no wonder people didn't buy, right? But when you're sold on your own offer, when you know selling this for 3K or 5K prices, right? That you know it's going to bring them that much value and you know it's genuinely going to change their life, then people are going to buy, right? Just think about when you buy coffee, for example, right? You go to the store, you buy coffee. They sell you coffee because they know confidently that they can deliver you that coffee, right? So then you confidently buy it. It's a belief. Money is a collection of belief, right? Like think about it. If we all stopped believing in money, then money would just simply disappear, okay? So you want to look at the fundamental root of everything. Money literally just equals a collection of belief, which equals certainty. So if you're not sold on what you offer, then honestly, people are not going to buy. So you need that certainty. The fifth thing is accountability beats motivation, right? You cannot rely on motivation because motivation can come and go. It's unstable. It can fade away. But when you have accountability and you have discipline in actually doing the stuff, not just hype, then you're going to be able to do it, right? Like think about when you started working out. I remember when I started working out and I started waking up at 4:30 a.m. in the morning every day for over 400 days straight, there was times when I would wake up from my bed and I would just not feel like waking up early, right? But I had accountability, which was like I would post it in my Instagram story first thing in the morning, which is what allowed me to do the inputs consistently, even at times when I wasn't motivated. So even if I go to here, Instagram, right? And I open up my Instagram here, I'm going to show you this. So if I show you this, literally, I would post me waking up at 4:30 a.m. in the morning every single day, right? So it's a form of accountability, right? Even joining groups, like for example, school groups allowed me to become accountable. Joining a community full of people who are doing the same thing, right? So look, literally wake up and first thing I would do is post it to the point where people are like, hey, like, I saw you waking up at 4:30 a.m. in the morning. Like, if I suddenly stop posting it, people are gonna be like, yo, like, why didn't you wake up early? You know what I mean? So it just became an accountability thing, and even joining school groups. Like, for example, if I go here, joining community of like-minded people allowed me to become more accountable. That's why I've built a community for online fitness coaches to help you, monetize your passion and scale past 5 to 10K a month. So even being in groups like this with people who have similar interests to you is going to allow you to become accountable. So yeah, I also did that. And then the sixth thing is, the business is the boring stuff. So you want to, like, in the beginning, when I first started, like, I would jump from one thing to the other thing to the other thing. And then when I finally found something that worked, that made me money, I would immediately get the shiny object syndrome and I would try something new. But it's like, why would you want to do something new if you know this one thing works, right? Like, for example, if I know how to get like 3 clients, or if I got my first 2 clients, why would I try some brand new strategy, right? You just simply want to do that one thing over and over and over again, right? Something that I like from Sam Ovens is, like, he always says, and even Alex Hormozi says this, it's just like, just do more of what works, right? If you signed your first client, just do more of that, right? Over and over and over again. That's literally what business is. It's finding a way to do something, and once you're able to do it, you just simply do more of it. You do, like, what if you do 10x more of what already works? Then you get 10x the result. It's simple, right? So have those systems, track what works. Like 90% of people fail because they just jump from one thing to the other. And that's why I failed in the beginning too. I was literally jumping from multiple online coaching businesses. You know what I mean? Like, yes, I made 10K a month here, and I started another business, made 10K a month here, and then I started another thing over and over again. So if I just stick to one thing in the first place, I would have made so much more progress. Because something that I like from Albert Einstein that he said is, like, compound effect is one of the 8th wonders of the world. So when you truly just stick to one thing, you do the boring thing, and you just do it over and over again, you're going to see way more progress. And then phase 3 is identity and environment. So the big picture of this is, the truth is, your business is a reflection of you, something that Sam Ovens said, and it lingers in my head every single day, even now, right? So your business is literally a reflection of your habits. So if your life is in chaos and you don't have discipline, you're not constantly, for example, creating content, people around you are distracting you, all that stuff, then there's going to be chaos in your business, and it's the simple truth, all right? When I was making no money in my business, I was living with my parents. I didn't have as much discipline as I wanted in terms of for business. So I wasn't creating content consistently. I wasn't reaching out to people consistently, and I wasn't doing what I actually needed to do, right? So my life was literally in chaos. I didn't have the discipline. And the thing was, my business simply was a byproduct of that, right? And the second thing is protecting your environment that protects your dreams, right? If you have small minds around you, then you're going to get small outcomes, right? When I first started my business, I remember, like, I told people, I was like, hey, I want to start this. I want to be able to live wherever I want in the world. I want to make over 10K a month. And to them, it seemed like a silly dream because it's like, they're working a normal job. They're not aspiring to be more, right? So you want to be extremely careful who you talk to. Like, if people around you, like, they might not want to see you win because you're pursuing something new, or they don't have as big of a dream as you do, then people around you are going to envy you, right? They're going to be like, oh, I hope this person fails. They're going to wish worse things on you simply because you are the pattern interrupter for your environment, right? So when you do something more, you strive for something more, people around you are going to feel less of themselves because they're not willing to do more. They're not willing to do more action, right? But you know in your heart that you could truly do more. You know that you are meant for something greater. So you want to protect your dreams, right? Which is part of the reason why I moved to Miami. Like, when I moved to Miami, even when I was at a coffee shop, I was meeting people who've had multiple businesses, who've made millions and millions of dollars, who've made over 8 figures, all that stuff. So when I told these people, I was like, yo, I want to do this. I want to do that. We uplift each other up, which is such a game changer. Like your environment is massive, massive. And if you are in a place where you don't have that environment around you, like all you have is your boss, you have all these people, then you could join communities like I've created right here, where you're around the right people. You're around people who are striving for more. Like I remember when I was doing lifeguarding, I was reading this book called Think and Grow Rich, right? And I remember, like, at that time I had a boss, right? And he came up to me. He was like my supervisor at XYZ. And he came up to me and he's like, oh, you're not going to make more money. Like reading more books isn't going to help you make more money. He just had all these negative beliefs because he's been stuck in that job for over 10 years of his life and he didn't want to strive for more, right? But I knew, like, I had this fire inside of me, which I was not going to accept that standard. So then I started joining groups online of people who have achieved what I wanted to achieve. I started talking to people who wanted to achieve that stuff. And I just went all in on that. So your environment is extremely important. And if you're in a place where you don't have that environment, you can still make it happen. You know what I mean? You can still build your business. Like I know guys, like I was born in Nepal, which is one of the most financially poorest countries in the world, right? And I know people that have built a business online, have made money online, living in that type of place, all from just being in the right type of environment. And it doesn't have to be physically. It could even be online. I cannot stress this enough, guys. This is one of the most important things, your environment. I literally moved across America, almost went homeless just to change my environment. So this is extremely, extremely, extremely important, okay? The third thing is reject comfort aggressively, right? Comfort is the enemy of growth. And you might wake up in the morning, you might be like, I'm going to take today off, or I'm going to, I don't want to post content today, so I'm going to have today off. I don't want to send these DMs. I don't want to do X, right? But you want to reject that at all costs, because the people who stay small feed off of comfort. They feed off of doing the work. But the truth is, if you want to get to the top 1%, like, do you realize that you just simply have to aggressively reject the easy stuff? Because if you want to get to the top, if you want to make, your first 10K a month online with your own online coaching business, and you want to be your own boss, you want to make more money than most of humanity does from your own business, you have to reject comfort. Because if it was so easy for you to get there, then it wouldn't be as valuable. It's like, then everyone can get it, right? If everyone can get in shape, then it wouldn't be as valuable, right? If everyone can make 10K a month online and have their own online business, then everyone on earth would be entrepreneurs making over 10K a month, right? So you have to simply reject the comfort. The fourth thing is self-belief equals daily action, right? I remember when I first started my online coaching business, this was even back when I was in college, and I was working all these jobs. I wasn't taking as much action as I should have because I simply just didn't believe that I could do it, right? What if you knew if you did these 10 things, for sure you would be closer to where you want to get to and you would be able to get there, right? 2 years ago, if I knew with 100% certainty that if I dropped out of college and I went all in, then I would aggressively take action, right? Which is why I did take action, because I aggressively believed it, right? It was just the same reason why I moved to Miami with no plan B, no car, literally not even a luggage, not even a suitcase. Literally, I had 7 pairs of shirts. I didn't even take a jacket, 7 pairs of shorts, and 7 pairs of boxers. That's all I had. And I just went there because I just had that certainty, which allowed me to take massive action. Repetition of standard builds confidence, right? So when you repeat something over and over again and you take action, that's going to build confidence. It's going to allow you to get better, and that's going to allow you to even build your belief so you don't have time to think. The most progress I've made is when I simply just don't even think and I just take action, because action builds the belief. And fifth is, if you tolerate weakness in yourself, you're going to attract weak clients. So your standard equals the results, which is so why I've been able to even work with 7-figure coaches and even people who've done over 20 million through direct sale, because the world is a reflection of you, right? When you look in a mirror, the mirror smiles back. When you walk across the street and you smile, let's say there's a girl there and you smile at her, she's going to smile back. Why? Because the world is literally a reflection of you. So if you tolerate weakness within yourself, if you tolerate you not being able to post content, if you tolerate you not being able to do the things that you know you need to do, then like how can you expect your clients to do the things that they need to do when you get clients? You know what I mean? So you have to reject weakness. If you are not willing to invest in yourself, how can you expect someone to invest in you? You know what I mean? It's the simple truth. So if you tolerate weakness within yourself, I'm sorry, but the world's going to reflect that, and it's the simple truth. So get a piece of paper down, write down all your weaknesses, and then invert those weaknesses and just get rid of it. Burn it. Literally burn it and do the thing that is hard, okay? The sixth thing is proximity creates opportunity. So this is so true because like personally, like my parents were born in Nepal, and obviously I was born in one of the poorest countries in the world, right? We didn't even have sidewalks, and you know, even the environment in terms of like my parents' friends, you know, that the sphere of influence, they all work jobs, right? And they all thought like, oh, I need to go to college and I need to get a job. I need to, you know, follow that route that everyone else follows, right? And I was around people who weren't striving to do more, who can relax, who seek pleasure, who take days off in the weekend, who, you know, say, oh, why are you so obsessed about this? Why do you want this to happen? You know what I mean? All that stuff. But then I started getting around winners, people who strive for more, people who are willing to sacrifice for more, people who have achieved the things I wanted to achieve. When I got around winners, like me moving to Miami, me even joining communities online, me investing in mentors who have achieved what I wanted to achieve, I started to do the correct things. I started to think the correct way in terms of what I needed to do, right? Like, for example, when I lived at my parents' house and when I, you know, had tons of friends who weren't striving for more, that's the identity I had. But when I had the identity of doing the things I wanted to do, that was because of the people I was around. They say you are average of the 5 people that you hang around with. So if you're around 5 people that are crushing it, that are killing it, that are doing more, then you're going to be the average of that. It's the simple truth. So get around winners, and it's going to allow you to collapse that timeline way quicker. And the 7th thing is your identity must evolve, right? Because the coach who never makes 10K a month is going to have the identity of a person who doesn't make 10K a month. They're going to be scared. They're going to be scared to invest in themselves. They're going to be scared to do certain stuff. But if you were making 10K a month right now, would you invest in yourself? If you're making 10K a month right now, would you already move to cities as if you already have financial freedom? You would, right? That's exactly what I did. I already embodied the 10K version of me. So I literally cut a ticket and I was like, screw this. I already have financial freedom. I already have time and location freedom. I said, screw all that. I already had that identity. So I took action, right? I invested in myself. I did all these different things, and it allowed the timeline to simply collapse, right? So if you mastered these 3 principles, which is clarity, execution, and identity, then 10K a month will literally just become a byproduct of who you are. So with that being said, I currently have 10 spots open to work with me one-on-one to make 5 to 10K a month online as a fitness coach. So if you're curious, then click the link down below and apply to join my school group, and I'll see if I could help you.